Good morning, everybody. This is Grant Sparks with the Grant Sparks Show, and I am super pumped today to be talking about midlife crises. What's going on? Where do they really come from? Choosing yourself, who benefits from it, and how to choose yourself. It is absolutely critical, I believe, that you actually make time to choose yourself. And when you do, making sure that you are equipped so that you don't give in to the message that you will receive, and that is that it's a midlife crisis. Is it a midlife crisis? I don't believe so. I actually believe what we call midlife crisis is something else entirely. And when reframed, I think it could become very powerful. Now, before we talk about choosing yourself, before we talk about who it benefits, before we talk about how to do that, you know what we're going to do. We're going to start with a morning cup of gratitude. I believe in this so much. I printed it on my mug. Actually, there's links on this somewhere. Wherever you are in the description, you can go get a link to get a gratitude mug yourself. Please do it, because if you can't start the day expressing gratitude, what am I freaking grateful for today? I'm grateful for X, Y, and Z relationships. I'm grateful that I ever encountered this other person. I'm grateful for the businesses I have started. I'm grateful for the businesses that have failed. Do you see how the energy shifts when you operate with gratitude? And do you see how it affects others? Someone could come up to me and say, "Hey, Grant, how many projects?" I was just updating my profile because I'm doing a lot more speaking. We're looking at and considering, and I'm declaring that we're getting this speaking gig in Quebec City in Canada. That's coming up next year. And so we're updating all of our stuff and all of our socials. And I was reading through my past projects, and I saw so many projects that anyone else would point at and say, "Look at those failures." And I literally no longer, it doesn't even register to me. Do you get the energy when I can say to you, I am grateful for my past projects, that some have won and some have failed. I'm grateful for all of them. And when you hear those words and when you feel that energy of gratitude sprinkled over it, you've set the context, not other people. And so owning that inflection, owning that comes from expressing gratitude with yourself and getting articulate with yourself. So in the comments below, without further ado, tell me what you are grateful for today. And I'll start. I'm grateful for Thursdays. Thursdays are rest days. Thursdays and Sundays are rest days. And it's become tough for me because I identify as a massively fit person. I identify as a gym goer, and I go to the gym every day. The last few weeks, I have really needed recovery, mainly because I've been going harder, not because I've been getting weaker. Quite often, when we actually need rest, we think we're weakening. The truth is when we need rest, it's probably because we've been pushing. And in pushing, we need to recover better. I think of an example I got from the book 10X is Easier Than 2X. I highly recommend the book. Nicole and I, and our team, have read it. We're actually loving this book. But one of the things the gentleman says is most people think that life needs to be the same thing every day. He said, I saw peak performers both in theater peak performers, and they had a similar schedule to athletic peak performers. And it was this: there are training days. In theater, there are practice days. In theater, there are practice days. In athletics, there are training days. Then there are recovery days, both in athletics and in theater. In theater, they needed that mental stimulation, so they would take rest days or days off. And then thirdly, there were performance days, days to perform. And what are those days for you? So, I train at least 5 days a week. That's on my goal setting sheet. And so I have to let myself take Thursdays off to recover. It's a recovery day. It's a day for mental stimulation, creative stimulation. The same with Sundays. So Thursdays and Sundays are that. And I am grateful that I came from a theater background and I resonated with that piece of advice right away. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I got back to my physical goal setting. I have set goals. This little physical goal setting, you can see it in both the cameras there. Yep, see it on Instagram, and then see it right there in all the other locations. I love this journal because on the right-hand side, it's got, all of my notes, all of my to-dos. I'm capturing everything in one place, but I've got my goals written for that week across the top. There's another location. Ask yourself the goals for the quarter. And I make sure that the goals for this week match the goals for the quarter and build up towards that. And then similarly, there's a section for goals for the year. If you are not working on a web of goals, you literally are drifting. And that actually links a little bit to our topic today of choosing yourself. And we're going to talk about it in a second. So I am grateful that I pulled out this document that Marissa gets me every year for my birthday. It's the only gift I ask for so that I can begin prepping for the next year. And I have a whole stack of over 20 of these. I've been doing this for 20 years in this same notebook. In fact, Moleskine, you should give me a brand ambassador deal because I have been doing this for 20 years. And anyone who knows me for goal setting knows that this is what I do. Actually, one thing I'm going to write in here right now is I'm going to reach out to them and pitch them on a collab of specifically goal setting. So I'm going to write that down. Moleskine partnership, boom, partner. And I'm going to actually act on that today. You got to act on your big goals. And I'm grateful for that. I have become an action-oriented person. Are you? Final thing I'm grateful for, and it ties into the show today. I have accepted that I am in the season of life where I am no longer desperately trying to become something. I admit that I have become something. I'm turning a corner in my life in this season where I need to now not only look forward, because I'm always looking forward to who I'm becoming. I'll always have goals. I'll always be becoming. I'll always be pursuing something. But the thing I am pursuing specifically and aggressively is helping the generations coming behind me. That is specifically where I am at now. I am no longer just trying to obtain the prize, and I put that in air quotes for myself. I am now proactively looking on how the things I am moving towards are helping the people coming up behind me. I'm in my 40s now. And in your 40s, and some of you are in your 50s, some of you watching, I know where you're at in life. You're still in your 30s. I am now approaching 45. I'm 44 this year. I'm approaching 45 this year. And from 45 on, to me, this is a big milestone. It's a roughly, I'm past middle age statistically. I believe I'll live a bit older than that because I'm generally a healthy guy, but I can't necessarily plan on that. So my new mission, my mission's the same, but the focal point, the recipients of my mission are the generation coming behind me, and I want to get aggressively passionate. So I am grateful for that personal revelation. What are you grateful for? Strands of Rain, good morning. Thank you for joining us, talking about goal setting and talking a little bit about how to choose yourself this morning. But we were starting with the morning cup of gratitude. Good morning, Strands of Rain. I hope you're doing great. Feel free to drop what you are grateful for in the comments because I want to hype you. If you cannot articulate them to me, I wonder if you were able to articulate them to yourself. And if you can't articulate them to yourself, you're kind of stuck. So it's time for you to actually work on getting articulate with yourself, with your goals, getting articulate with yourself, and therefore getting articulate with others. And that is part of what we're going to talk about today. What are you grateful for? I want to hear it in the comments below. Real quick, a small piece of other news. I don't do a lot of other news. I try to get right into the lesson these days. Here's a quick piece of other news. Oh, Jackie Roach jumping in from Twitch. Grateful for great books recommended by Grant. Jackie, I'm grateful for that too. And I guess you're probably not talking about 10x is easier than 2x. So for the public, which book are you talking about? And I can post it here. Jackie is on a come up. This gal is hitting a season of life where like all jets are on nitro. And she is just turning a massive corner. So props to you, Jackie. I'm hyping you this morning. And she's going to be doing the tour soon. Maybe I won't be giving away her schedule, but I'm excited to be seeing her soon for sure. So a quick bit of other news before we move on with how to choose yourself and go from there. Hang on. And this is a surprising piece of news. Why do I ever? Oh, Ripples from the Zambezi. Yes, everyone, please check this book out. You're not seeing this on Instagram. You're seeing this live everywhere else. Ripples from the Zambezi. Let me tell you something. This book is phenomenal. Now, I know that Jackie Roach and I have a lot in common. Our passion for the underdog, our passion for the places in the developing world. And we'd rather just get paid our worth to just speak and support people all across the world. And Ripples from the Zambezi is about a consultant. And this consultant basically learned at the Zambezi River some very passionate and powerful lessons that he went on to apply in other areas of the world, including the developing world, helping small communities turn into strong communities. And there's a whole other group that Jackie and I both follow called Strong Cities, I believe they're called, Strong Towns or something like this. And it's how to basically make a village in your town. Regina says, I'm grateful for to be putting myself first now. And she is. This is Regina Bullock, the pet nanny Lakeland. She has been a pet nanny, and she's on Instagram for those of you who are watching wherever you're at. Regina's Gina Bullock, the pet nanny, she's focusing on cats for lots of great reasons. But she loves these felines. She was passionate about it. And she has been the pet nanny, oh man, going on 20 years. She's worked with animals for years, 15 or 20 years. And now she's putting herself first, putting her desires, her passions, her preferences first. And now only cat sitting. And it's just a whole new season for her. So that is how you put yourself first. There's ways that Jackie is putting herself first. So we're going to be talking about that. But real quick, other news, real quick, and then we'll move on to the lesson today. Other news, and this is going to be out of left field. So those of you watching, don't go anywhere. Liquid water on Mars. What? Why is Grant talking about liquid water on Mars? Now, let me be specific. There is a lot of ice water at the poles of Mars. We're not really sure we can get to it. Not really sure it's viable for human use. But if you ever seen on Earth how they actually, if you've ever seen on Earth how they find lava or bodies of water under the surface, basically when earthquakes go, they track the earthquake wave. And if there's changes in a certain area where that wave, that sound wave basically is being tracked under the ground, basically when it hits a body of water, it changes speed. And when it hits that body of water and changes speed, there are databases and databases of information that when it hits lava, it changes one speed. So when you actually see this and actually can track this, you can track liquid water on Mars. And this is changing the game. It's 7 to 10 miles under the surface. And we have liquid water. We could go to Mars and activate this water and get it to the surface. It could actually fill oceans is the size of this water. The trick is we don't exactly have the technology. So a lot of people are going, hey, Elon, good luck with your dream in Mars. And Elon chooses himself first. Of course, we know that about Elon Musk, for good and for ill. And Elon Musk says, well, I'm just going to build a tunneling company. So for those who are haters at Elon's dream about living on Mars for lots of reasons, the idea of water on Mars is like, yeah, but you'll still never make use of it. And Elon's like, well, thankfully, I built a tunneling company. And so I'm laughing at the irony of so many of life's ironies and paradoxes. But this morning, and I'm trying to give you other news for a main reason. Good morning, Don Cutts. I hope you're doing fantastic. The only reason I take just a few seconds and talk about other news, and it's this. The news cycle wants you to believe that the most important thing out there is to get sucked into polarizations in politics, polarizations and nationalisms in global wars. There are very important things to discuss in all of those worlds, but there is much more important things on this planet to be thinking about that lift your soul up. And I believe when you look at space and sciences, when you look at art, there's a great piece of news that you need to go check out about Banksy is on a tear about animals escaping the zoo. And the thing I love about it is not the politics of should the animals be in zoos or not. That's a lot of the conversation. What I love about it is this. People are going all around London looking for this artwork. They're out walking around. And if you remember Pokemon Go was a video game that got a lot of people out of the house during the COVID pandemic. It got people out. It got people walking in fresh air. It was super fun. The Banksy art is all of these animals all over London that have apparently escaped the zoo, and people are getting all over London and checking that out. I love that. Go check out art news. Go check out science news. Please expand your horizons, because as you choose yourself, and we're going to get right into the lesson today, as you choose yourself, you need to have new inputs to give you new language on how to express yourself. And that gets me into what I believe the problem is today. The problem today is not a problem for young people. When I say today, it's a lot of my peer group. I'm 44 now, and I got to just admit that. I don't have to admit it because I'm rickety. I'm in some of the best fitness of my life. I'm in some of the best mental states I have ever been in, ever. And so I'm not experiencing midlife crisis. I am experiencing midlife shifts. But I am taking a temperature on nearly everyone in my cohort, everyone in my age bracket. And a lot of people come to me. I had one of my close people call me saying, hey, I just need like 30 minutes of your time. And they shared with me. A lot of people just open up and share with me, especially if they've been in my friend group for any period of time. And in these conversations that I've been having in the season of life, nearly to a person they're experiencing or have expressed that they're experiencing some form of midlife crisis. And as we talk more and more about it, I simplify it as this. Is it really a midlife crisis? Or is it a midlife shift that is natural to our species? You see, in our species, a lot of people in my age bracket are having empty nester syndrome. Their kids are starting to go to college. Or one of my close friends, her kids are actually entering high school. And it's not empty nesting, but it is a mega shift where there's a bit more independence in the child's life, but also a bit more dependence. My Camping with Views, good morning. How are you doing? A lot of people are experiencing midlife crisis. We actually interact with a lot of RV people who have been living RV life for a while, and their kids are also shifting. Some of them want to get off the road and actually get some stability as they look towards college. Some of them want to stay with family because they want to build a family group. Hello, good morning. I see you on Instagram there. We're also live elsewhere. So in this midlife, what other people call crisis, and these midlife choices, being the coach and consultant for a lot of these people who are also bringing their business with me. They've been doing their business for a while. And they come to me and say, Grant, I think I'm having an existential crisis around my business. When we actually start diagnosing it, what we're seeing is their identity is changing because they're wanting other things. But they didn't have the language set. And after we coach and give them the language set, they really just go, maybe I'm not having a crisis of anything but a crisis of identity. And I didn't have the language set to discuss my new desires. The other thing about identity is I'm so used to being the person who has X, Y, in Gina's case. I'm so used to being the person who pet sits any pet. It kind of feels like a crisis of identity now that I'm focusing on felines. Now I'm focused on cats. And in that case, her business could shrink. She could be petrified that she loses faith in the public because they see her changing. There's a lot of things that are colliding. And so what's going on is it's not necessarily a midlife crisis. It's a linguistic crisis. It's an identity crisis. And a lot of those things converge around midlife. It just is coincidental that once you start getting into these middle ages of your late 30s, your 40s for sure, and your early 50s, this whole span, you start to rapidly encounter, man, actually, I'm starting to validate my desires. And the other thing is this, you're starting to feel life creep up on you. You see people to the left and right of you being in extraordinary shape like I am right now. I'm starting to see people that are 44 look like they're 55 and 60. They just let themselves go. And I'm seeing that my peer group, and I put that in air quotes, I'm seeing that my peer group are starting to act old, and that makes me start to think about destiny. That makes me start to think about, man, I've only got so much time on this planet. Now, I don't feel that way. I still feel like I've got a whole other lifetime or two to live myself. But in seeing this in people around me, I have to admit that I'm starting to think about how do I want to spend the next season of my life? And that feeling is intense. Do I want to be living it for others, or do I want to be living my most specific self, my most authentic self? Hey, listen, whether you're 20 and trying to become authentic in your content, as we do with a lot of influencers, we work with a lot of influencers who are in influencer and content work mainly to find their identity, to find out what content they want to put out in the world. That's a great tool for social media, is to use it to discover how you want to express yourself, because it's a very vulnerable thing to put your content on Instagram, to put your content on Twitch and YouTube. It can be very vulnerable. I believe you should be using social media to find out who you are. And when you hit midlife crisis, the feelings are even amplified. So if you're watching and in your 20s or early 30s and you're a creator and you're like, what's he talking about? Midlife crisis. Well, if I can relate a little bit, when I put myself out there in certain seasons, I have to change identity. When you become, for example, an RV person, you're changing from being a homeowner. You're changing from being a person who lives in that town, who lives in that neighborhood, and you have this sense of identity shift. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're Jackie and you're going from working in one, crypto industry, for example, or not, moving in and out of industries, can be an identity shift. I know people who have moved from being a regular normie to being a crunchy mom to no longer being a crunchy mom. Each of those changes have been an identity shift. And for the young people who might have experienced these identity shifts, midlife changes are that amplified. It's not a midlife crisis. You're just facing a seasonal shift and don't yet have the language to articulate it. Zig Ziglar said, do you want to be a walking generality or a meaningful specific? He posed that question so many times. Do you want to be a walking generality or a meaningful specific? And I think all of us want to be meaningful. And so therefore, we know we kind of want to be something more specific or more dialed into who we are. And I think midlife crisis is literally simply colliding with that moment. Let me tell you a few quick principles about choosing yourself. Number one, choosing yourself is actually choosing a rich inner life. Choosing yourself is actually choosing a rich inner life because of this. You have to know yourself to choose yourself. How do you know you're not choosing what the church taught you to be? How do you know you're not choosing what the other RV lifers are supposed to be? How do you know you're not choosing what the crypto community, in Jackie and Mai's case, how do you know you're not choosing what the crypto community says you should be? How do you know you're not choosing what your mother should be? And that speaks to several people watching. How do you know you're not choosing what your neighborhood, your town, your family, society, your political affiliations? How do you know? Choosing yourself is choosing a rich inner life. You have to you cannot choose yourself. Said another way, you cannot choose yourself unless you choose a rich inner life. You have to know yourself first. Therefore, you have to know your goals, your desires. I say goals and it's so heavy laden. You need to be able to choose your goals. You need to be able to know your goals. You need to know your preferences. Do I actually like fried rice or white rice? Do you know? In your 40s, in midlife, you begin to recognize, I actually have these preferences. I encourage you at any age, at your 20s or your 30s, start getting radically clear about what you want now. Hey, listen, top secret, it can change in the future. That's okay. And it was probably something different in the past, but you got to choose it now. Know your preferences, know your wants and desires. Do you want to be married? Do you not want to be married? Do you want kids? We've got a very close friend, Jackie and I, who's looking at the question, do I actually want kids? I think I want kids. Do I want kids with this person? Do I want kids now? You don't have to know everything about yourself, but you do have some strong preferences. Whatever season of life you're in, sit down and have a rich inner life. Choosing yourself first and foremost requires you to choose a rich inner life. If you need a 3-day weekend, just get close with yourself, do it. Book a little Airbnb. Heck, an hour from your house. You don't have to travel halfway across the world. Just book a getaway and spend time with a notebook and pen. And yes, I mean notebook and pen. Grant, don't you know about them technologies? Listen, all my goals are written in Evernote. I've got fancy goal tools. I've got everything on Google Calendar. I've got everything there. But your brain operates and is anchored when you actually do handwriting. Look it up. It's called neurographology. Neurographology, the power that happens in your brain when you actually write something down. Write your preferences down. Write your goals down. And a few quick areas for this. Fitness and health, healthy, happy relationships, work you enjoy, and spirituality. Write down your preferences in those 4 domains. I call that, Gina says, love to write. You and me both, Gina. You know I love to write. Write it down. Write your goals. Excuse me. Write down your goals. Write them down so that you are validating yourself in your rich inner life. Number 2, choosing yourself is not selfish. Choosing yourself is not selfish. Hear me again. I will repeat it. Ooh, Jackie says, say those 4 again, please. Thank you, Jackie. Jackie, and again, I posted this live on Twitch and YouTube and everywhere else we're streaming. The 4 areas, and I call this the total life experience. Gina's been around my teachings enough to know that there's a whole teaching in the Spark ecosystem called the total life experience. Good morning, Ahmed. Ahmed Black 35. Good to see you. The 4 areas of the total life experience are fitness and health, healthy, happy relationships, not any relationship, healthy, happy relationships, Jackie. Work I enjoy, not any work. Work I enjoy. You need goals in these areas. You might work in work you do not enjoy. You don't need goals in there. You need goals for work you enjoy. And spirituality, not spiritual. You might find yourself in the Baptist church, Jackie. You might find yourself with no church. You don't need goals for things that don't make you happy and don't fulfill yourself. Spirituality that resonates with you. I call it spirituality for a reason. I didn't call it Christianity. I didn't call it Buddhism. I didn't call it Taoism. I called it spirituality for a reason. Because there are principles that fulfill you in some and not in others. You need goals, and I call this the TLE, the total life experience. In fact, I think you can Google the TLE, total life experience. And I have some writings that come up about that. I'm not sure how the SEO is on that right now, but I have a whole teaching on the total life experience. And I believe that you need to feel on a scale of 1 to 10, 7 to 10 in each of these 4 areas. You need to feel at least a 7 to 10 in all 4 areas to feel okay. To feel extraordinary, these areas need to overlap. There's a Venn diagram. If you are doing fitness and health with healthy, happy relationships, friends, lovers, whoever it is, if you're feeling level 7 to 10, but then you overlap those areas, you will feel extra super saiyan extraordinary. If you are doing work you enjoy and it helps your fitness and health and it helps your healthy, happy relationships and you feel at least a level 7 to 10 in that area, and the same with your spirituality. If you are doing ayahuasca retreats and it's only feeling a 5 or 6, stop. But if you were doing a ayahuasca retreat in Colombia, our good friend Jarrett's in Colombia, and he does that retreat and we feel a level 7 to 10, feeling pretty good. But we do that with people that we have deep rapport with, we will feel level 10. That's the total life experience. It's it. That's how you feel apex. Jackie, those are the 4 areas. So number one, how to basically choose yourself. Number one, a few elements of this is choosing yourself is choosing a rich inner life, writing goals in those 4 areas. That's why Jackie was asking about that. Thank you, Jackie. Choosing yourself is not selfish. I need to be very clear about this. Choosing yourself is not selfish. You know what's selfish? You know what's really selfish and actually worse than selfish, malicious? When you serve those around you and then someone asks you about your goals and you're like, I've been serving my mother, taking care of her as she ages. And you know what's selfish? You're blaming. You're blaming that person. You're victimizing yourself. And by proxy, you're setting them up to be a worse villain than they probably are. I know I had this with my grandmother. I helped take care of my grandmother as she aged a little bit. And I felt so put out that my grandmother lived with me as an angsty teen. And so I was blaming her for not choosing my own excellence. How selfish is that? That's selfish, putting yourself to the side and blaming others for. Man, what a defeat. You are literally killing society and the people around you when you do that. You're soul crushing. But when you choose yourself, it is becoming aware of who you are. It's not selfish because it is making you more valuable to others. When you choose yourself, if you're doing it right, if you're doing it wrong, it's just poor me, and I'm finally choosing me. But you're not really doing anything with it. When you choose yourself, when you truly choose yourself, it makes you more valuable. Good morning, Henry Roscoe. I hope you're doing fantastic. When you choose yourself, and you make yourself more valuable. If you choose yourself and take that pottery class and start making pottery for those around you, if you choose yourself and get your fitness in alignment and start getting fit and you can take care of people, help people move, now helping take care of your aging mother where you can actually lift her up and you can actually help her. Choosing your health and fitness and start living as an example for those around you. And that was my third point here. It's about making yourself valuable to others. It's about, and I heard this quote recently, and if you take one thing away from today's show, it's this. Your job is not to be a tugboat. Your job is to be a lighthouse. I want you to earn the mantra, burn it into your soul. I'd rather be a lighthouse than a tugboat. Be the lighthouse. If someone asks for your time, get it in your brain. I'll give you my time, but not as a tugboat. I'm not going to drag you. I'll give you the time of day and be a lighthouse. I'll tell you what books are working for me. I'll tell you what discipline is working for me. I'll tell you what goals are working for me. I'll tell you what energy levels are working for me. I'm going to be a lighthouse, not a tugboat. I'm not dragging you through shit because life's tough enough as it is. The third principle about choosing, it helps everyone around you more. So this is the other side of it's not selfish. It's not selfish to choose yourself at all. Like boldly choosing yourself. When someone says, hey, could you do X, Y, and Z? No, man, I'm sorry. And here's why. Yeah, I'd love to help you in a lot of different ways. I really need hands. I'll tell you what, can I pay for movers? But when people ask you, could you help me move? No, that is not the use of our friendship or time. Isn't that what neighbors do? Is it? I know that's what people are imposing on you. Now, it might be. I know in Jackie's case, she's very passionate about building strong towns and strong communities. That might be her thing. I'll tell you, that's not mine. That's not the best way to get the most out of my friendship. You want to get the most out of our relationship? Don't even book time with me. Go read my books, my blogs, my material. Go back and watch my content. Put it to use. Come back to me and say, Grant, this is what I built. And then, Grant, now I need your help. I want to partner. That's the way to get the most out of our relationship. Grant, I built this 6-figure company. I'm having trouble getting it to 7 figures. Can you help? Hell yeah, I can. Let's roll. Why? Because we got money to bring into other people's lives. We got resources to bring in other people's lives. Hey, Grant, I put everything to use. I've written all my goals and my energy's feeling high, but I just can't get over the hump. It's not all about money. It's about goals too. Can you help? Yeah, I can help with that. Grant, I'm feeling in the slums, and I know you've created a crap ton of material, but I haven't looked at any of it. I'm just going to siphon off your energy. That is not a way to have my friendship with me. You need to know what that is for you. You need to know those boundaries. So when you choose yourself, you actually become more valuable to others. Be a lighthouse, not a tugboat. And the third principle here is it helps everyone around you more. It helps your current self, number one. It helps you to know what to say no to. You need to define yourself based on what you say no to. You need to define yourself. People need to come back. You are looking for the moment when someone says, hey, Jim said he asked you for help and you just said no. I said, absolutely, you are correct. And here's why. Now the myth is going on of what Grant does and does not do. Remember, I had to say this to a very close friend yesterday. She came to me and was sharing some things about going on in her life. And she said, I just need you to listen to me real quick and then tell me what it is because I know that you won't pull punches. I said, not at all. And she asked my thing. And I said, hey, we're going to talk about boundaries. And I said, what's the number one thing I say about boundaries? Who is it for? Boundaries are not for other people. Hey, you crossed the line. Nope. Boundaries are for you to know when you're going to put your foot down. Remember that, my friend. Boundaries are for you to know when you are going to put your foot down. Otherwise, you are a wandering generality, not a meaningful specific. It also helps your business, your family. It helps your family, helps your kids, it helps your spouse, it helps your life partners. When you go around, and also, I mean saying no. I watch several family members do everything for their kids, and that is phenomenal. And the kids know they are loved. And I did know I was loved, but I wanted my family more involved. Thank you, Roscoe. Roscoe's giving me high fives. I appreciate our Henry Roscoe. Shout out to you, man. It makes you more valuable to your kids, your spouse, and your life partners. Everyone has different things they contribute to a family. Everyone has different roles. We are not all the same. We do not all provide the same. It is only in the modern era that we were expected that equality was it, and it's 50-50. And I can't tell you, and I'm not going to speak for some of the people watching, but they have expressed to me, man, wouldn't it be good if I could just walk in my feminine, which is different than the masculine? The masculine wants to go out there, slay dragons, bring in resources, protect and provide. We want that. And I'm not just talking about men. I just mean the masculine, right? I'm very open in all that way. And the feminine doesn't just want to be taken care of, but they want to express their nurturing, their nurturing nature in a lot of different ways. But they're being dragged into equal roles, and it's just all over the place. When you know who you are and know how you contribute to a family, whether it's masculine, whether it's feminine, whether it's adult, whether it's child, you need to know who the adult is. You need to tell your kids no so that they learn how to process no. Yeah, I'm not talking about shutting down their needs. I'm not talking about shutting down love. I'm talking about putting your foot down and showing them how to develop more communication styles, develop more thicker skin, that sort of thing. Jackie Roach says, no 50-50. Join as individual 100s. You can't see this post that I posted, but Jackie jumped in from Twitch and said, there is no 50-50. Join as individual 100s. The other person that it helps when you choose yourself are your current friend groups. You need to put your current friends on notice low key. I don't mean sit down, let's have a talk. We can't be friends anymore. I don't mean that. If you're a lighthouse, not a tugboat, and you want more, and you assess the friend group you run with, you need to know who's running not at today's level, but at tomorrow's level. You might be equal or top dog in your little group of friends. That means you're in the wrong friend group. No, you need strong communities. No, you need the local coffee shop people that you know and that you run with. I mean your people. You need to be, for your next tier that you're going for, you need to be the small fish of these friends. I'm talking about friends, of these peers. You need to, by that I mean you need to be around people who are raising the bar for you. So who it helps when you choose yourself, it helps your friends. It puts them on low-key notice. They're like, oh, Grant's doing something. Hey, Grant, why don't you hang out that much anymore? Hey, man, I'm pushing. What are you doing? What are you working on? Where are you hustling? What are you up to? Where are you at? Well, Grant, why aren't we down at the old places we used to hang out? Now, and it's prototypical to say, why aren't you hanging out at the bar? Some people, that's where they're hanging out next. My good friend Adam, the people he's hanging out with is the bar. Why? Because he's getting better and better at playing live music, and he's always at the bar. So I don't want to use that prototypical example, but pick the old places you used to run around at, the same old gym. Grant, I don't see you at the same old gym. No, I moved to this one elite gym. Why? I'm trying to push. I am now the small fry at the new gym. I'm now struggling, bro. And that's good. I need to struggle because I've tapped out here, bro. I'm doing the same old thing at this same old gym. Level up. So it helps your current friends know where you're at when you choose yourself first. And here's the other thing. It helps your new friend group. There are new friends just like you floating around the planet looking for tribe, looking for people that are hustling like you. And I don't just mean running hard. Maybe it's like Jackie, building strong communities. And maybe there's other people in the community that aren't hustling. Maybe they're just trying to build a strong community, but your old friends are kind of settled in and they're not really trying to develop communities anymore, but you have other people that are. Maybe it's people like me that are trying to move up as a speaker and a trainer. I'm trying to circulate around more powerful speakers and I'm surrounded by them. I just haven't made them friends yet. I'm going to actually invest in going to them and buying them lunch and trying to run where they run and find out the expos they go to and go to those expos. This is how we got the gig in Quebec City coming up next year. This is how we got the gig in Puerto Rico. We insisted of the people we run around are people that are running. Do the same for you. It helps your new friend group, and it helps that new friend group because you find each other. If you are not making moves, they can't tell who's moving different than the pack. I'm just seeing a pack move around, but when you poke your head up out of the pack and you make eye contact with that other person, you guys go a whole new direction. It helps new friends find each other. It helps clients. For those of you like me, if you have any ambition at all, chances are you have a side hustle, a business, or a main hustle. We own several businesses. It helps your clients know how you differentiate. I got a great client right now, and I hope the honeymoon era keeps going. Kevin Blanks is a phenomenal client of Superior Spray. We do all of his social medias. He's been phenomenal. He's invested what it takes, and we have great rapport. He's phenomenal. He immediately is differentiating because of the moves he's making. I'm not even giving away all the moves yet because we haven't rolled it out yet. But it's low-key, absolutely different than what his peers are doing. He's murdering it. It's fantastic. When you stand out and choose yourself first, as Kevin Blanks is, it helps your clients differentiate you from your competitors, and it helps your future self. And here's why. If you can start acting like who you're trying to be today, you're going to hit conflict, and that conflict's going to start to remove baggage. And the removal of baggage helps your future self so that when you meet your future self, you are carrying less baggage. Less baggage. When you choose yourself, it helps everyone more. Quick 3 steps, and then I got to let you go. Number one, you have to set your goals. This is how you choose yourself. I'm telling you now, those were principles. This is how. Number 1, set radically clear goals. Let them have measurables so that you know if you're bullshitting yourself or not. I'm on X, Y, and Z speaking stages next year. Did I do it or did I not? It's not cut. It's cut or dry whether or not you did it. Now, what's not cut or dry is how you value yourself. Oh, man, I set my goal to be on 10 paid speaking gigs next year, but I only did 5. Well, what did you do the year before? 0? Okay. Pat yourself on the back, but also be gut level honest. How did I not hit my goal? You got to set goals. They got to be measurable so you know if you achieved them or not, but then also show yourself some love if you made progress, right? But don't let yourself off the freaking hook. We let ourselves off the hook. Number 1, you got to write massively clear goals so that you know whether or not you're living up to the game. Number 2, journal. I cannot tell you. Journal. And I mean write physically, but journaling sometimes I don't mind if you're typing journal because you're getting clarity in your thoughts. You're becoming articulate with yourself when you journal. It's not just about, dear diary, this is what happened yesterday. Journaling is becoming radically clear about, man, I felt this way because of X. Man, I felt this way because of Y. Man, I said I was going to do X and I didn't. A gut level honesty, here's why. And I don't care if anyone ever sees this. No one will probably ever see this. You have got to have a safe place, a holding zone where you get radically freaking clear. But it's also where you practice articulating who you're going to be. I'm realizing that half of my coaching is communication coaching. Yes, it's performance coaching. Yes, it's goal coaching. Yes, it's energy coaching. I'm teaching people how to tap this area of energy. But you know what it really is? Hey, why did you choose that verb instead of that verb? Why did you choose that noun instead of that noun? Why did you choose defeatist language instead of positive language? Because it's evidence of their thinking. When you journal, you are literally rehearsing shit. When you write down and say, I'm bummed because I never do X and I always do Y. What is this language? Why doesn't your journal say things, man, I'm passionate because I want to do X. Man, I'm a little disappointed because this didn't happen, but this is what I want to do now. You are literally seeing the evidence of story loops. And if you sit at your journal and you cannot journal, don't beat yourself up, but get gut level honest. I'm not articulate with myself. Listen, how can you sit across from the table? How can you book time with me? How can you book time with me and hope that I help you get clarity when you haven't even put in the work of getting clear with yourself? How am I supposed to know how to help you? I'm literally going to grade 1 when I sit across the table from most people because they use me as a journal. Because I'm so articulate, they know I have this gift, they come to me. Now, I have some high-lit people that come to me and say, hey, Grant, this is what I was thinking, but I know I'm stuck on these words. Can you help? And they value my skill set with linguistics. But most people who book time with me, I'm starting to say no to because they're using me as a journal. They're trying to bounce words. I want to bounce some thoughts off of you. Generally speaking, they come with me with a blank sheet of paper. They have not done any work. Now, literally, the difference between that person and an A player is someone who said, hey, Grant, I've got these goals. I've been trying to achieve them. This is what I'm saying to myself, and I hear myself, and I do not like what I'm saying to myself. Help me wordsmith this anew. That's how I know that they value me. And the difference between these people are people that are making 30 to 40 grand a year versus people that are making 100 to 120 grand a year. Same education levels. Their differences is whether or not they're articulate with themselves. Please start journaling today so that you become articulate with yourself. And number 3, start studying on your thing. This is so rudimentary. What do you mean, Grant? I know several people that have expert in their Instagram handle. And if you ask them about nuance of their thing, they can't tell you about it. Why? Because they actually don't know about it. They don't read on it regularly. I mean, they don't have Google News programs so that Google News feeds them articles about that thing. They can't tell you the latest that's going on. They don't know the name of the top industry expo on that thing. Are they truly an expert? No, they are not an expert. If you do not know a few basics, if I sit across from you, you go, Grant, I'm trying to be the world's best pest control specialist. Great. And I do it really well. You might. But if you do not know what the latest book was, if you do not know the latest automation and how it's being utilized in your field, if you do not know how AI is being wielded in your industry, if you do not know what the national average is, I'm telling you, you might be doing good right now. You might be making 7 figures plus in your cute little regional pest control example company. But if you do not know these things, I know it's just a matter of time before some other player is going to come on the field who actually is an expert, who actually is learning. The reason I think you should be reading and studying in your niche, you should be attending expos, you should probably be part of a mastermind that meets nationwide once a year, that does your thing. Otherwise, you are not taking your thing seriously. You're just trying to make a buck and turn over a company. That's okay. Tell me that. Grant, I'm just trying to build a company and flip it. I'm not trying to be an expert. Great. Get integrated. Get integrated in your language. That is my main message to people. Don't tell me you're one thing and then doing another. Get integrated. So number 1, write your goals down. Number 2, journal so that you become articulate with yourself. Number 3, read on your thing so that you become radically clear and cutting edge. I'm getting blown up for my huddle. Listen, why am I talking about any of this? I want to encourage you to become next level, my friend. I want to encourage you to get over midlife crises or whatever life crises you're having. But no matter what you're doing today, I hope you got something out today. No matter what you do today, I want you to remember the mission. Igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a great day.